Cami thought she was the one in control. For 2 full seasons, she sat in the chair, made the decisions, and reminded everyone around her that this was her company. Tommy was the one doing the work. Tommy was the one fixing the problems. Tommy was the one holding everything together while everyone else took the credit. And Cami believed that would never change. But here is the moment no one in that office ever imagined we would see. Cami walking into a room where Tommy now holds all the power. Let that sink in for a second. The man she pushed out, the man she underestimated, the man she practically forced out the door, is now the only person standing between her and total collapse. And the Season 3 trailer makes one thing painfully clear. Cami finally knows it. The most interesting thing about this new trailer is not the explosions, the tension, or even the threats hanging in the air. It is the silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone realizes the game has completely changed. Because for the first time in this entire story, Cami is not the one calling the shots anymore. And that realization is written all over her face. For 2 seasons, we watched Cami operate from a place of confidence that sometimes crossed into pure arrogance. She believed she understood the business. She believed she understood the people around her. And most importantly, she believed Tommy would always be there to clean up whatever mess happened next. That was the dynamic. That was the unspoken rule of the entire operation. Cami made emotional decisions. Tommy fixed the consequences. Cami pushed forward with pride. Tommy quietly carried the weight behind the scenes. But here's the problem with treating someone like they will always stay. Eventually, they stop staying. And that is exactly what happened at the end of Season 2. Tommy did something that completely rewrote the rules of this world. He walked away, not in anger, not in defeat, but in clarity. For the first time, Tommy looked at everything he had been giving, the loyalty, the work, the sacrifices, and realized something very simple. None of it was actually being valued, so he built something of his own. And that decision might end up being the single most important turning point the show has ever given us. Because the moment Tommy opened CTT and gathered people who actually respected him, the entire balance of power shifted. Suddenly, the quiet guy in the background wasn't the background anymore. Suddenly, the man everyone relied on became the man everyone had to negotiate with. And Cami? Cami didn't realize what she had lost until it was already gone. Think about what the trailer quietly reminds us. One by one, the people who made MTech's work started disappearing. Nate was gone. Rebecca stepped away. Dale walked out. These weren't small losses. These were the people who kept the machine running while Cami focused on the bigger picture. And when those pieces disappeared, something else disappeared with them. Stability. Because the truth that Cami never wanted to face is that MTech's was never just her leadership. It was a system of people balancing each other out. And Tommy was the center of that balance, whether anyone admitted it or not. Without him, things don't just get harder, they start falling apart. And the trailer hints at that collapse in subtle but terrifying ways. The pressure is heavier, the decisions feel rushed. The confidence that once defined Cami's presence now feels different. Not gone exactly, but cracked. Like someone who is trying very hard to pretend everything is still under control while quietly realizing it isn't. Now, here is where things get really interesting. Because Tommy is no longer standing inside that chaos. He is standing outside of it. For the first time in the entire series, Tommy is not reacting to someone else's decisions. He is making his own. His team is loyal. His operation is growing. And the man who used to spend every day solving Cami's problems now has something he never truly had before: leverage. And leverage changes everything. It changes the way people talk to you. It changes the way they look at you. And it definitely changes the way they treat you. Which brings us to the moment the trailer seems to be quietly building toward. Cami walking into a situation where she no longer has the upper hand. Cami realizing that the man she once dismissed is now the one holding the cards. And that realization, that might be the most uncomfortable moment she has ever faced. Because pride is a powerful thing, and Cami has a lot of it. The question is, what happens when pride runs straight into reality? Does she admit she was wrong? Does she ask Tommy for help? Or does she try one last time to prove she can survive without him? because the trailer gives us just enough hints to suggest that Cammie's situation is far worse than she is letting anyone see. The company isn't just struggling, it might actually be on the edge of something much more serious. And if that is true, then the next move she makes could decide everything. But here is the twist that makes this whole situation even more fascinating. Just because Tommy can help her now doesn't mean he will. After everything that happened, after years of being pushed aside, after finally building something that belongs to him, why would Tommy risk it all again? And that leads to a question the trailer seems almost afraid to answer. What happens when the man who always saved everyone finally decides not to? Because if Tommy chooses to protect his own empire instead of rescuing Cammie's, then the collapse we are seeing might only be the beginning. And the real storm of Season 3 may not have even started yet. But the trailer hides an even darker problem in the background, one that could make this power shift far more dangerous than anyone realizes. Because while Cammie and Tommy are fighting over control, someone else might already be watching. And if that person decides to step in, will Tommy's new power become his greatest advantage or the biggest target on his back? Now here is where things start getting dangerous. Because power shifts like this never happen in a quiet, comfortable way. When someone who used to control everything suddenly loses that control, the reaction is rarely calm. And the trailer makes it very clear that Cammie is not the kind of person who simply accepts defeat and walks away. That has never been who she is. Cammie built her reputation on fighting for control, pushing back against anyone who questioned her authority, and proving that she belonged at the top of this business. So imagine what it must feel like for her now, standing in a situation where the one man she used to dismiss is suddenly the one everyone is looking at for answers. That kind of reversal does not just hurt professionally, it hurts personally. Because the truth Cammie may finally be forced to face is that Tommy was never the problem in the first place. In fact, the trailer almost feels like it is quietly reminding us of something we have known all along. Every time things got messy, every time a deal started collapsing, every time someone inside MTEX made a mistake that could have destroyed the company, who was the one fixing it? It was always Tommy. He was the one in the field. He was the one talking to the workers. He was the one handling the pressure that came from the real world outside the boardroom. Cammie might have held the title, but Tommy held the trust of the people who actually kept the operation running. And trust like that does not disappear overnight. When Tommy walked away, that trust walked out with him. So now we have two completely different worlds forming at the same time. On one side, Tommy is building something stable with CTT, a team that believes in him, a system that actually values his decisions, and a structure where his voice is not just heard, but respected. For the first time, he is not spending his energy proving himself to people who refuse to see his worth. He already proved it. The people around him know exactly who he is and what he brings to the table. And you can see it in the way he carries himself in the trailer. There is a calm confidence there that we did not see before. Not arrogance, not revenge, just quiet certainty, the kind that comes from knowing you are finally standing on solid ground. But on the other side, Cammie is dealing with something very different. Because running a company alone, especially one that is already bleeding talent and stability, is a completely different challenge than leading a team that supports you. And the trailer hints that the pressure inside MTEX has reached a level that even Cammie may not be able to control anymore. Deals are falling apart. The people who used to balance her emotional decisions are gone. And the reality of the oil business is that mistakes do not stay small for long. One wrong call can ripple through the entire operation, and Cammie has already made several of those calls. Which brings us to the moment that might define the beginning of Season 3. The moment where Cammie has to look at the situation honestly and admit something she probably never thought she would have to say out loud. That Tommy was right. That forcing him out was not strength. It was a mistake. And mistakes in this industry do not just damage reputations. They destroy companies. But here is the complicated part of this whole situation. Even if Cammie finally realizes she needs Tommy, that does not mean the door is still open. Because Tommy is no longer the same man he was when he walked out of MTEX. Back then, he was tired, frustrated, and ready to prove something. Now he has already proven it. He has his own team, his own business, his own future that no longer depends on anyone else's approval. And when a man reaches that point, the decisions he makes become very different. So the question is not just whether Cammy will ask for help. The real question is what Tommy will do when that moment comes. Because helping Cammy does not just mean stepping back into the same chaos he worked so hard to escape. It means risking the new life he just built. It means exposing his team to problems that are not theirs. And it means reopening wounds that may not have fully healed yet. And yet, if there is one thing we know about Tommy, it is that walking away from people in trouble has never been easy for him. Loyalty has always been the thing that defines his character, sometimes to his own disadvantage, sometimes to the point where he sacrifices his own success just to make sure the people around him do not fall apart. And that is exactly why this new power dynamic feels so dangerous. Because the moment Cammy realizes Tommy holds the power now, the temptation will be there to use that loyalty against him. The trailer almost feels like it is hinting at this emotional trap being set. Cammy knows Tommy better than most people do. She knows how much responsibility he feels toward the people he once worked with. She knows he does not like seeing businesses collapse when he could have prevented it. And if she is desperate enough, she might use that knowledge to pull him back into the mess. But here is the part no one inside that world may be paying attention to yet. While Tommy and Cammy are dealing with this complicated history between them, there are bigger forces quietly moving in the background. The trailer drops subtle clues that the business environment around them is becoming more aggressive, more unpredictable, and far more dangerous than before. Rival interests, financial pressure, and outside players who see opportunity in chaos are all circling the situation. And if those outside forces realize that MTEX is weakening while CTT is rising, they are not going to sit back and watch politely. They are going to move, which means the power Tommy now holds may attract attention he never wanted in the first place. Because success in this industry does not just bring respect, it brings enemies. And if someone powerful decides that Tommy's growing influence is a threat, the fight he thought he left behind might be about to follow him into his new world. But the most shocking moment hinted at in the trailer might not be about business at all. It might be about the exact moment when Cammy finally realizes she has no control left. And Tommy is the only person who can decide whether her company survives or disappears completely. And when that moment finally happens, will Tommy show mercy? Or will he remind Cammy exactly what it feels like to be pushed out the door? But the deeper you look at this trailer, the clearer it becomes that the battle between Tommy and Cammy might only be the surface of a much bigger storm. Because power shifts inside companies rarely stay contained inside office walls. The moment the balance changes, everyone watching from the outside starts paying attention. Competitors notice, investors notice, and the kind of people who build their fortunes by stepping into weak situations, they notice most of all. And that is exactly the moment MTEX seems to be entering. For years, the company survived because even when the leadership was unstable, the people behind the scenes kept everything running. Tommy was the backbone. Nate handled the legal chaos. Rebecca dealt with the outside pressure. Dale kept the field operations steady. It was not a perfect system, but it was a system that worked because everyone covered each other's weaknesses. But now look at the situation again. Nate is gone. Rebecca stepped away. Dale is no longer there to keep the field grounded. And Tommy, the man who connected all those moving parts, is now running his own company. So what is left? Cammy, her pride. And a company that may already be losing control of the very industry it once dominated. And if there is one thing the oil business never forgives, it is weakness. The moment a company shows even the slightest crack, people start circling like sharks. Deals suddenly get harder to close. Partnerships start quietly disappearing. Investors become cautious, and the competitors who once stayed polite suddenly become very aggressive. Because in a world where millions of dollars move with every decision, nobody waits patiently for someone else to recover. They take advantage, which raises a very uncomfortable possibility that the trailer seems to be quietly hinting at. What if the real reason Cammy might be forced to approach Tommy again has nothing to do with pride anymore? What if the situation inside MTEX has already reached a point where survival itself is on the line? Because when you listen closely to the tone of the trailer, there is something heavier in the air than we have seen before. This is not just business drama anymore. There is a sense that the ground beneath these characters is starting to move in ways they cannot fully control. And the most interesting part is how Tommy seems to be standing right in the middle of that shift. For the first time, he is not the underdog fighting to be heard. He is the man people are watching, the one competitors are evaluating, the one investors may start approaching. And that kind of attention changes the game in ways that even Tommy might not be fully prepared for. Because success brings pressure. Real pressure, the kind that tests whether someone can protect what they built while the entire industry starts pushing against them. And here's where things get complicated again. If Cami truly does come back asking for help, Tommy will be facing a decision that is far more complicated than it looks on the surface. Helping her could stabilize MTech's, prevent a collapse, and maybe even rebuild some kind of partnership between them. But helping her could also pull him right back into the political chaos that almost destroyed him in the first place. Remember why Tommy walked away. It was not just about respect, it was about freedom. For years, he carried the pressure of fixing problems that were not his responsibility while someone else took the credit for the success. Walking away from that system was not just a business move. It was personal liberation. And the trailer almost feels like it is asking one very dangerous question. What happens when that freedom is suddenly tested? Because deep down, Cami probably knows something that very few other people understand about Tommy. She knows he cares about the people in that world. Not just the executives, not just the profits, but the workers, the families, the entire network of lives connected to those oil fields. That loyalty is what made him such a powerful force inside MTech's. And it may also be the one weakness Cami can still reach. So imagine the moment where Cami finally confronts him. Imagine her walking into that conversation knowing the balance of power has completely flipped. The woman who once told Tommy what to do now, standing in front of him asking for something instead. That scene alone could carry more tension than any explosion or gunfight this show could ever stage. Because words will matter in that room. Every sentence will carry history. Every pause will remind them of everything that happened before. Cami might try to explain. She might try to justify her decisions. She might even try to appeal to the loyalty she knows still exists inside Tommy. But there is another possibility the trailer seems to be teasing, one that could change everything. What if Tommy is no longer willing to play the role she expects? What if the man she once relied on to sacrifice everything has finally reached the point where protecting his own future matters more than saving someone else's empire? Because if that is the direction this story takes, the emotional impact will be enormous, not just for Cami, but for the entire world around them. MTech's collapsing would send shockwaves through the industry. Workers would lose stability. Rival companies would rush in to claim territory. And Tommy's growing company could suddenly find itself caught in the middle of a power struggle much bigger than anyone predicted. And that is exactly why the final moments of this trailer feel so tense. The silence, the looks between characters, the sense that everyone understands something irreversible is about to happen. Cami is realizing that control has slipped out of her hands. Tommy is realizing that holding power comes with decisions he cannot avoid forever. And somewhere beyond both of them, the industry itself may already be preparing for the moment when one company falls and another rises. But the real question might not be who wins this battle. The real question is what it will cost Tommy to win it, because the trailer drops one subtle but terrifying hint that this story might not just be about business, pride, or revenge anymore. It might be about the moment when someone finally forces Tommy to choose between protecting everything he built or saving the very person who once pushed him out. And if that moment comes sooner than expected, will Tommy still be the man everyone believes him to be? Or will Season 3 reveal a version of him no one is prepared for? But the more you think about everything this trailer is showing us, the clearer it becomes that Season 3 is not just about a business rivalry or a simple power shift. It is about consequences, real consequences, the kind that take years to build and only a single moment to explode. Because for 2 seasons, we watched decisions pile up one after another. Pride over patience, emotion over strategy, loyalty tested again and again until something finally broke. And now the bill for all those choices is starting to arrive. And Cami may be the first person forced to face it. For a long time, she believed control meant authority. She believed being in charge meant making the final call, no matter what anyone else thought. But the oil business has never been kind to people who confuse power with stability. Control only lasts as long as the people around you believe in it. The moment that belief starts to fade, the entire structure begins to shake. And that is exactly what we are seeing now. The trailer is quietly showing a woman who is realizing that the foundation she thought was solid might have been held together by people she pushed away. Tommy was one of those people. And the moment he walked out of MTech's, something invisible but critical disappeared with him. Because Tommy did not just fix problems, he absorbed pressure. He carried the weight that allowed everyone else to operate without constantly worrying about the ground collapsing beneath them. Without that kind of person in the room, leadership becomes very lonely very quickly. Every decision feels heavier. Every mistake echoes louder. And the trailer gives us small glimpses of that reality starting to settle over Cammy. The confident executive we used to see now looks like someone fighting to stay ahead of something she cannot fully control. Meetings feel more tense, conversations feel more cautious, and the sense of certainty that once surrounded her leadership is now replaced by something much more fragile: uncertainty. And uncertainty is dangerous in an industry where billions of dollars depend on trust. But what makes this situation even more intense is the position Tommy now finds himself in. For the first time in the story, he is not reacting to the collapse of someone else's decisions. He's the one building something new while the world around him starts shifting. CTT is growing. His team believes in him. The respect he spent years earning is finally showing up in real, tangible ways. And when someone reaches that point, there's always a moment where the past comes back knocking on the door. Sometimes it comes as regret. Sometimes comes as opportunity. And sometimes it comes as a test. That is exactly what Cammy represents now. Not just a former boss, not just a struggling company. She represents the entire history between them. Every argument. Every moment Tommy swallowed his frustration and kept working anyway. Every time he chose loyalty, even when it cost him personally. And now the roles are reversed in a way neither of them ever expected. Cammy might need him, not as an employee, not as someone fixing problems quietly in the background, but as the man holding the power to decide whether her company survives. And that kind of reversal carries a strange emotional weight, because revenge might feel tempting in a situation like this. Anyone watching could understand why Tommy might want to close the door and walk away. After everything that happened, after all the years of being overlooked, he would have every reason to protect his own future and let MTech's face the consequences of its choices. But here is the thing about Tommy that has always made him different from the people around him. He is not driven by revenge. He is driven by responsibility. And responsibility can be far more complicated than anger. Because if Tommy does step in to help Cammy, it will not just be about saving a company. It will be about protecting the people connected to that company, the workers in the field, the families who depend on those jobs, the entire network of lives tied to the success or failure of the oil business they built together. Tommy understands that world better than anyone else in the story, and that understanding might make walking away far harder than it seems, which means the real tension of Season 3 may not come from enemies outside the company. It may come from inside Tommy himself. Does he protect the empire he just built? Or does he risk everything again because that is the kind of man he has always been? The trailer refuses to answer that question directly. Instead, it leaves us with a feeling, the sense that something enormous is coming, that the choices made in the first few episodes could reshape the entire future of these characters. And maybe that is why the power shift between Tommy and Cammy feels so important. It is not just a plot twist. It is a moment where the story forces both characters to reveal who they really are. Cammy has to decide whether pride is more important than survival, and Tommy has to decide whether success is worth protecting if it means abandoning the people who once depended on him. Somewhere between those two decisions, Season 3 will find its heart. Because when power changes hands, it does more than shift authority. It exposes character. It shows who someone becomes when the pressure is finally on them instead of someone else. And right now, all the pressure in this world seems to be pointing toward one inevitable moment. The moment Cammy finally admits she needs Tommy. The moment Tommy realizes helping her could put everything he built at risk. And the moment both of them understand that whatever choice comes next, there will be no going back. So the real question heading into Season 3 is not whether Tommy holds the power now, The real question is what he is going to do with it. Will he use it to build something stronger than the broken system he left behind? Or will the past pull him back into a fight that could destroy both of them? Because if this trailer is telling us anything, it is that the biggest decision Tommy has ever faced is coming fast. And when that moment arrives, who will actually be forced out this time?